From Sichuan, we worked our way to what would be our last stop in China, the village of Baguo, where we would venture to the summit of Mount Emei, one of the holiest Buddhist sites in all of China. Baguo was another story altogether. It was quite different from Yangshuo or Leshan. This place was tourism, Chinese style, and that meant souvenirs. From Mount Emei walking sticks to maps and knickknacks, anything you could possibly want to help you remember your trip was here for the asking. It all seemed surprisingly commercial, like a real honest-to-goodness tacky tourist attraction. Was this another side of the new China? Would good old Chairman Mao have approved? Who could say? All we knew was, come morning, we'd start our trek up Mount Emei, where we were sure we'd find a more traditional experience. For now, though, all we wanted was a decent night's sleep. We found a nice little hotel in the woods where we settled in to melt away the day's tension. The peace and tranquility was short-lived, though, when around 9:30 something that resembled music started rattling our walls. By 11 o'clock, we decided that since we couldn't sleep, it was time to investigate. It was time to see for ourselves what kind of wild party was going on in here. We turned a corner, walked through an open doorway, and entered a world that few Westerners have ever seen. The world of Chinese disco. The lighting was straight out of Saturday Night Fever. The dancing, pure Lawrence Welk. And the band, well, they had a sound all their own. And they certainly gave new meaning to the term stage presence. In fact, it was quite an event when the guitar player slid down a few frets. In many ways, this was one of the most succinct glimpses we'd yet had of the new China. Even here in the heart of China, new ideas and Western ways were slowly trickling in, regardless of what the old men in Beijing thought. It appeared that the outside world was making its way inside China, so it only seemed appropriate that the night end with that old Chinese summertime favorite, Jingle Bells?
Well, we finally made it to the trailhead of Mount Emei. We're looking forward to a relaxing stay in this peaceful, tranquil place, one of the most holy of Buddhist mountains in China. I think it's going to be a nice change from the chaos and clutter of what we've experienced in much of China so far.
Emei had long been one of the holiest sites in the Middle Kingdom. It had a history that dated back to the earliest days of Buddhism itself in China. At one time, over 100 monasteries peppered its slopes, though through the ravages of time and the Cultural Revolution in the 60s, that number today was closer to 20. Yet Emei was hardly the kind of place beset by hard times. On the contrary, it was jumping. The communist government's official disdain for religion seemed to do little to dampen these folks' spirit. Of course, the goal of any worthy pilgrim was to witness sunrise from the summit of Emei. So long ago, the devoted had built stone steps from Emei's base to its summit, over a mile of vertical rise. Then again, if walking still seemed inconvenient, there were other modes of transport. As if just climbing up and down this thing in the heat of summer wasn't bad enough. These guys did it with people on their backs. If you were decadent or just plain lazy, this was the way to go. And while it was tempting, we still had some self-respect. After what seemed like an eternity of stone steps, we were finally close to the first major temple along the way. It was here we were sure we'd find the true spirit of Emei. Where we had expected a place shrouded in incense and ritual, we found instead a teeming tourist trap filled with trinkets, doodads, and an awful lot of people. Of course, there were plenty of things to do. You could have your picture taken with the monkey, or maybe browse a little, or have your picture taken with the monkey, or maybe look over the goods, or have your picture taken with the monkey. Well, maybe not that monkey, this monkey. Yes, this place was a circus, and we were beginning to feel like the clowns. We were sure we'd find a more traditional side of Emei further up. So up we went, hoping to reach the summit by nightfall. That is, if the heat, humidity, and climb didn't kill us first. But then, as the daylight began to fade, mosquitoes. Large, hungry Chinese mosquitoes. And tonight, they'd be eating American. As the feeding frenzy began, we did the only reasonable thing we could think of. We ran like hell down the mountain, hoping that somewhere out there, the Chinese version of Motel 6 was leaving the light on for us.
Coming up, the spirit of Mount Emei finally gets its due.